Let's talk in British English. Elara often felt a knot in her stomach whenever she considered speaking English. Her daily day's struggle was palpable, a constant companion. She longed for conversations, to truly express her thoughts and feelings without hesitation. The fear of making a mistake loomed large, a terrifying specter. Why was it so hard? Why did she always stumble when it mattered most? Her mind replayed awkward encounters, the fumbled words, the embarrassed silences. I don't want to make a mistake, she'd tell herself, but I always do. Why? This self-doubt chipped away at her confidence, making her retreat further into herself. She knew deep down that English talking practice was crucial, yet the hurdle of starting felt insurmountable, a truly daunting task. One overcast afternoon, sipping her favorite cuppa, Elara stumbled upon an online community discussing language learning. A light flickered. Why you should practice speaking, one article proclaimed, is because it's the only true way to master fluency. This simple statement resonated profoundly with her, a proper wake-up call she desperately needed to hear. She decided then and there to embark on a concerted effort, a proper go at improving. No more hiding. How to learn English effectively became her new obsession, devouring every tip and trick she could find. She understood that progress wouldn't be instantaneous, but a steady, persistent climb. It was time to push through the trepidation. The first piece of advice she embraced was how to improve your listening skills. She started by immersing herself in British podcasts and radio dramas. Listening intently to the nuances, the intonation, and the natural rhythm of conversations became her daily ritual. It was challenging, almost overwhelming at first, but she persisted regardless. She wasn't just passively listening, she was actively trying to understand context and meaning, even if she missed a few words. Rewinding and re-listening to tricky phrases became commonplace. This dedicated approach to improving her listening skills began to yield subtle but encouraging results, slowly building her comprehension foundation properly. Then came the daunting prospect: how to improve your fluency. It wasn't enough to understand, she needed to articulate. This part terrified her most. The thought of uttering incorrect grammar or mispronouncing words still brought a flush to her cheeks. But the articles insisted, just open your mouth and begin. She started with online language exchange partners, often feeling clumsy and hesitant during their initial video calls. The awkward pauses were frequent, the struggle real. Yet, each conversation, no matter how brief or imperfect, was a small victory. English talking practice was slowly becoming less terrifying, surprisingly. Her mentor online continually reminded her, mistakes are signposts of progress, not failures. This reframing was revolutionary. I don't want to make mistake, but I always why, she'd lamented. Now, she began to see those stumbles as essential stepping stones, vital parts of the learning journey. Another technique she adopted was shadowing. She would listen and practice simultaneously, mimicking the speakers on her podcasts, trying to match their pace and pronunciation exactly. This listen and practice method felt peculiar initially, almost like talking to herself, but it significantly improved her intonation. She committed to short bursts of practice every single day. Even if it was just 5 minutes of speaking into her phone, describing her surroundings, or narrating her actions. How to practice English became a mantra, reminding her that consistency trumped intensity. Little and often, that was the key. Beyond structured practice, Elara began to absorb new vocabulary organically. She'd watch British TV shows without subtitles initially, then with. She read simplified news articles and gradually moved to more complex texts. This holistic approach helped her acquire words naturally, embedding them in context. She kept reminding herself why she was doing all this: to connect, to communicate authentically, to open up new opportunities. This strong "why you should practice speaking" motivation fueled her during moments of doubt, pushing her past the urge to give up when things felt too hard. There were days, of course, when progress felt painfully slow, when she felt stuck on a plateau. The daily struggle would rear its ugly head, threatening to derail her efforts. But she learned to push through, understanding that plateaus are just part of any learning curve. Instead of focusing solely on fluency, she started celebrating small wins, understanding a complex joke, successfully asking for directions, or simply holding a fluid conversation for 5 minutes. These tiny victories fueled her determination, proving that her efforts were indeed making a difference. As her confidence grew, so did her willingness to experiment with new phrases and expressions. The fear of "I don't want to make mistake but I always like" gradually diminished, replaced by a quiet self-assurance. She understood that even native speakers make errors. It's part of human communication. Eventually, she took the brave step of joining a local English conversation group. Face-to-face interactions were more challenging than online ones, but the immediate feedback and camaraderie were invaluable. This proper English talking practice solidified her progress tremendously, an excellent move. She encountered a myriad of accents within the group, from Scottish brogues to Welsh lilt, which initially tested her. How to improve your listening skills further. Adapting to these diverse pronunciations was tough but ultimately beneficial, broadening her auditory comprehension significantly. Elara consciously sought out real-life situations to practice, ordering food, asking for train times, even chatting with shop assistants. Every interaction, however brief, was an opportunity for how to practice English. She turned mundane tasks into language lessons, making them productive. Repetition became her ally. Repeating tricky sentences, phrases, and even entire dialogues until they felt natural. This listen and practice approach ingrained correct patterns, transforming hesitant speech into more automatic responses. It was tedious at times, but undeniably effective for fluency. She also started keeping a daily journal in English. Writing down her thoughts, her daily struggle, and her triumphs helped solidify her vocabulary and grammar in a less pressure-filled environment. It was a private space to experiment and consolidate her learning. Beyond individual words, Elara began to pay more attention to the intonation and rhythm of English speech. She noticed how native speakers used stress and pauses to convey meaning. This deeper understanding of how to improve your fluency added a new layer to her articulation. Constructive feedback, both from her online mentor and her conversation group peers, proved vital. They gently corrected her errors, explaining the why behind them, rather than just pointing them out. This environment nurtured her learning, fostering growth. Her mindset fundamentally shifted. The initial dread of "I don't want to make mistake but I always why" had transformed into an adventurous spirit. She now saw errors as data points, opportunities to learn and refine, rather than embarrassing failures to avoid completely. She began to immerse herself in English within her own home. Labeling objects, thinking in English, even talking to her plants in English. This constant exposure, even when solitary, reinforced her learning. It truly showed how to learn English beyond formal lessons. To sound more natural, she delved into British idioms and slang, learning phrases like bloody brilliant or bits and bobs. Understanding and appropriately using these expressions significantly enhanced her English talking practice and made her conversations more authentic. There wasn't a single aha moment of complete fluency, but rather a series of smaller milestones. Each time she effortlessly contributed to a debate, or understood a complex news report, she felt a surge of pride. It proved why you should practice speaking relentlessly. The joy of fully understanding a nuanced British joke or a complex political discussion was immense. Her "How to Improve Your Listening Skills" had paid off beautifully, unlocking a deeper appreciation for the culture and the language itself, a proper sense of achievement. She found herself speaking more spontaneously, without mentally translating every sentence. This fluidity was a clear sign of how to improve your fluency. The words flowed more naturally, driven by thought rather than laborious grammatical construction, a wonderful feeling. Elara realized that learning English wasn't a destination but an ongoing journey. There would always be new words, new expressions, and new challenges. How to learn English was about embracing this continuous process, always striving for better, never truly finished. Her daily routine now naturally incorporated English. Mornings began with a British news podcast. During her commute, she reviewed flashcards. Evenings often involved watching a British comedy program. This seamless integration proved how to practice English effectively. The initial shyness and embarrassment, the "I don't want to make mistake but I always why" internal battle, had largely faded. She approached conversations with curiosity and eagerness, rather than trepidation. This transformation was perhaps her biggest victory of all. She felt confident now participating in various English-speaking settings, from casual chats in a pub to more formal discussions. Her English talking practice had given her the versatility and adaptability to navigate different social contexts with ease and grace. Her improved listening skills allowed her to pick up on subtleties, on the unspoken meanings and cultural nuances. She could now listen and practice not just for words, but for emotions and intentions, adding depth to her understanding of interactions, absolutely crucial. Elara wasn't merely mimicking anymore, she was finding her own voice in English. While she adopted British expressions, she still maintained her unique personality. This development was a significant step in truly owning the language, making it her very own. The mental shift from "I must practice" to "I want to practice" was crucial. Her daily struggle morphed into a rewarding endeavor. This intrinsic motivation made the learning process enjoyable and sustainable, rather than a chore, a truly positive change. Her expanded knowledge allowed her to understand a wide array of British cultural references, from historical events to popular television shows. This cultural literacy enhanced her appreciation of the language and made her conversations even richer and more engaging. Through her language journey, Elara built a network of friends from various backgrounds. These connections reinforced why you should practice speaking, showing her the power of language in fostering genuine human relationships and broadening her perspective globally. Patience, she realized, was paramount. There were no shortcuts to how to improve your listening skills or achieving fluency. It was a steady grind, a consistent chipping away at the seemingly insurmountable mountain. Perseverance was her most valuable asset. Curiosity played a vital role in her learning. She constantly asked questions, looked up unfamiliar words, and sought clarification on confusing phrases. This active engagement was key to how to learn English effectively, ensuring she never stopped exploring. Elara moved beyond textbook English, embracing the quirks and informalities of real-world British speech. This organic learning, where she simply decided to listen and practice with real media, made her sound far more natural and authentic to native speakers. The initial overwhelming fear of judgment, the core of "I don't want to make mistake but I always why," had almost completely disappeared. She understood that most people were supportive and appreciative of her efforts, not critical of her occasional errors. The ultimate reward wasn't just speaking English, but the freedom and independence it brought. She could travel, work, and connect with people from around the world without language barriers. Her English talking practice had opened up an entirely new life. Now, when she encountered someone struggling like she once did, she offered encouragement. She shared her own story of "my daily day's struggle" and emphasized the importance of consistent effort, showing them the path she had walked so successfully. Even without living in an English-speaking country, Elara had created her own immersion environment. This conscious effort to how to practice English daily, transforming her surroundings, proved that full geographical immersion isn't always strictly necessary. She knew the journey was far from over. There would always be new nuances, new idioms, and new ways to refine her skills. How to learn English was indeed a lifelong commitment, but one she now embraced with genuine enthusiasm and enjoyment. The anxiety that once plagued her had transformed into genuine enjoyment. Speaking English, which used to be a source of stress, had become a source of pleasure and connection. This transition highlighted the true success of her dedicated efforts. She learned to be kind to herself, to acknowledge that "I don't want to make mistake but I always wide" moments and move past them without excessive self-criticism. Self-compassion was as vital as rigorous practice in her journey to mastery. Fluency, for Elara, wasn't about speaking perfectly, but about communicating effectively and confidently. It was about being understood and understanding others. This redefinition of how to improve your fluency released her from the burden of perfectionism. Her improved English skills had a ripple effect across her life, influencing her career prospects and personal relationships positively. It underscored why you should practice speaking beyond just language acquisition. It impacts your entire world. From a hesitant speaker, she had transformed into a confident communicator. The story of her daily day's struggle was now a testament to perseverance and effective strategies, inspiring others to embark on their own language learning adventures with hope. She now genuinely embraced the challenge, understanding that true mastery comes from confronting difficulties head-on. The path to how to learn English wasn't easy, but it was incredibly rewarding, forging resilience and strength within her character. The community she found, both online and locally, was instrumental. Sharing experiences, anxieties, and successes with fellow learners provided immense support. They truly showed her how to practice English collaboratively, making the journey less lonely. Looking back, Elara marveled at how far she had come. The initial fear of "I don't want to make mistake but I always wife" seemed like a distant memory. Her journey was a powerful reminder of what consistent effort can achieve. She decided to start her own blog, sharing her listen and practice tips and encouraging others not to fear making mistakes. Her mission was to demystify language learning, showing everyone that it's an attainable goal with dedication and the right approach. Her future with English looked bright. She envisioned teaching, traveling, and perhaps even writing her own stories, all in English. This vibrant future was built upon the solid foundation of persistent English talking practice and unwavering self-belief. It all began with a simple choice: to stop fearing and start doing. To transform her daily struggle into daily triumphs. This singular decision set her on a path of incredible growth and discovery, altering her life forever. Absolutely brilliant. Elara's story became a message of hope. A testament that anyone, regardless of their starting point, can achieve fluency if they commit to why you should practice speaking and apply consistent, thoughtful effort. It truly is possible for everyone. And so, her journey continued, filled with new learnings, new challenges, and endless opportunities to refine her beloved English. It was a beautiful, ongoing adventure, proving the immense power of perseverance in language acquisition.